When people talk about legendary guitarists, Canada rarely gets the spotlight. But tucked behind the fame of Rush and Bryan Adams are some of the most innovative, expressive, and wild guitarists to ever plug in. Some of these guys changed the sound of rock, and others created their own sonic landscape. Of course, Alex Lifeson is on this list. However, there may be a few surprises that are not household names. Due to copyrights, I can't play any of the audio clips in this video. However, I've got links in the description down below for amazing performances by all of these guitar players. We begin with the godfather of Canadian guitar, Alex Lifeson, co-founder and guitarist for the power trio Rush. He was there from the band's earliest high school gigs in Toronto all the way through their final world tour in 2015. Alex's sound evolved constantly. Early on, the band's sound was rooted in a bluesy hard rock sound. Think of the songs Finding My Way and Working Man. But as Rush leaned into progressive rock, Lifeson became a master of texture, spacing, and unusual chord voicings. Albums like A Farewell to Kings, Hemispheres, and Permanent Waves showcase him using volume swells, double stops, unusual chord voicings, and chorus delays to build mood. However, by the mid-1980s, during the Power Windows and Hold Your Fire albums, Lifeson was feeling left out of some of the creative process as Geddy Lee was utilizing a lot more synthesizers. Alex didn't hate the synthesizers, he just found it a little more challenging to work guitar parts in as Geddy Lee's synths were taking up so much space. But he made up for this with some of the most iconic guitar solos that he ever created with Rush. Alex Lifeson made prog rock feel both like math class and a therapy session. Jeff Healey had the kind of talent that made other guitar players go quiet. Born in Toronto, blind by the age of 1, gigging as a teenager, he played his Strat flat on his lap and still sounded better than many guitar players standing upright. His debut album, See the Light, was an immediate hit, blending Texas blues, hard rock, and a little jazz attitude. His cover of While My Guitar Gently Weeps from his second album, Hell to Pay, is still one of the most emotional versions ever recorded. The Jeff Healey Band formed in the mid-1980s and toured relentlessly. They quickly built a reputation as a must-see live act. His ability to seamlessly blend blues shredding with jazz-like phrasing made him a unique figure. He was too soulful for rock, too rock for blues. He was completely his own thing. Now, Jeff was also a jazz historian and owned one of the world's largest collections of 78 RPM recordings, over 30,000 of them. He even hosted a CBC radio program each week known as My Kind of Jazz, where he played rare 1920s recordings. Now, many of us who are familiar with Jeff Healey know that he was in the 1989 cult classic film Roadhouse alongside Patrick Swayze, where he was in the house band in basically a movie about bar fighting. Now, Jeff Healey didn't just bend the strings, he wrestled them into submission while barely moving, and he made it look normal. One of the most underrated guitarists to ever come out of the progressive rock movement, and possibly even the 80s altogether, is Ian Crichton from Saga. Saga formed in 1977, and they were known for a mix of synthesizer-driven rock and complex instrumental interplay. Imagine if Rush and Genesis had a synth pop baby. They were able to balance melody with jaw-dropping technique. Saga had big success in Europe and Canada with songs like On the Loose and Wind Him Up. However, they never really broke big in the US, which is likely why Ian does not show up on too many top guitarist lists. Unfortunately, even after their 1978 debut album hit gold in the US, Saga made the decision to focus their energy on the European market, which I think is a decision they later regretted. Ian's techniques that he used on early albums such as Worlds Apart in 1981 feature finger tapping, sweep picking, and ultra-fast legato runs. Techniques that are right up there in the ranks of guys like Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen. Ian Crichton started playing the guitar at age 12 and was heavily influenced by the usual suspects: Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, John McLaughlin, guys like that. Saga has recorded an astonishing 22 studio albums and 9 live albums. Ian Crichton is like Alex Lifeson's more caffeinated cousin. You know, the guy that practices sweep arpeggios before breakfast and probably knows calculus. Frank Marino is a name you should know, and if you don't, prepare to be humbled when you check out the clip in the description down below. Born in Montreal, Frank Marino led Mahogany Rush, a power trio that combined Hendrix-style psychedelia with the speed and aggression of early metal. Mahogany Rush started in the early 1970s, often being mistaken for a much larger band than they really were. Their album Live from 1978 is considered one of the greatest live guitar albums ever. By the early 1990s though, Frank Marino was fed up with the music industry and the corruption that would take place within the record industry. He left the public eye for a few years and also became a father. However, Frank could not stay away from his love for the guitar and touring, and released the album Eye of the Storm in 2000. Frank Marino is a guitarist's guitarist, or a guitar player's guitar player. Guys like Steve Vai, Zakk Wylde, Paul Gilbert, and countless others have all cited Frank Marino as a huge influence on their playing. Now, Rik Emmett is my 5th pick for top Canadian guitarists. He is a fantastic, often overlooked shredder who combines not only rock styles, but also blues, jazz, classical, and bluegrass techniques into his playing. Rik Emmett may be best known for his work in the Canadian power trio Triumph. From 1976 to 1987, Triumph released 9 studio albums and have received multiple awards, including being inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. Rik has also collaborated with other artists as well as some solo projects such as the Strung Out Troubadours, Pablo and Oscar Lopez, which is a trio that was inspired by the work of Paco de Lucia, Al Di Meola, and John McLaughlin. Rik has also been a faculty teacher at Humber College in Ontario and wrote columns in Guitar Player magazine for well over a decade. From the legendary tones of Alex Lifeson to the mind-blowing tones of Jeff Healey and the technical mastery of Ian Crichton, these guitarists prove that Canada isn't just a nice, beautiful place, but it's also nasty with a guitar. Let me know who some of your favorite Canadian guitarists are, and if you think I missed anybody, drop me those comments down below. If you haven't already done so, hit that like button, and if you're not already a subscriber, hit the subscribe button, guys. Until next time, keep rocking on.